What actually changes when someone reaches $1 million net worth? Not the version you see online, not the cars, not the vacations, not the early retirement fantasy, but something quieter, something most people don't notice, even when they're very close to it. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. For most people in the United States or Europe, reaching $1 million doesn't feel like winning. It feels like finally being stable. Let's take a simple example. You're 32 years old. You live in a mid-sized city, maybe Chicago, Manchester, Berlin, or Lyon. You earn around $85,000 a year. After taxes, that's roughly $5,200 per month. Now look at where it goes. Rent or mortgage, $1,800. Car payment and insurance, $600. Groceries and utilities, $700. Student loan or debt payments, $500. Subscriptions, phone, and internet, $200. Eating out, social life, and travel, $600. That's $4,400 already. You have about $800 left. And from that, you're expected to save, invest, and build a future. Nothing about this lifestyle looks irresponsible. It's actually quite normal. And that's exactly where the problem begins. The financial system most people operate in is not broken. It's functioning exactly as designed. It encourages a specific behavior: earn more and spend just enough more to stay where you are. When your salary increases from $60,000 to $85,000, your life subtly upgrades. A slightly better apartment, a more reliable car, more frequent dinners out, better clothes, maybe even a vacation that feels earned. None of these decisions feel irrational, but together they create something very precise. They keep your financial position almost unchanged. Now let's look at this in simple math. If you consistently invest $800 a month with an average return of 7%, after 25 years, you'll have around $650,000. Not bad, but not quite $1 million. Now imagine instead you invested $1,500 a month. Same return, same time. Now you're at roughly $1.2 million. The difference isn't intelligence, it's not luck, it's a gap of $700 a month. So why don't most people make that shift? Because the brain doesn't measure wealth in net worth, it measures comfort in lifestyle. When your environment improves, better apartment, nicer surroundings, your brain interprets it as progress, even if your financial future hasn't meaningfully changed. In fact, it often prefers this illusion because lifestyle upgrades provide immediate satisfaction. Investing does not. Now extend this pattern over time. You earn more each year, you upgrade slightly each year, your savings grow, but slowly. By your early 40s, you might have $200,000 or $300,000 invested, which sounds like a lot until you realize something. At that pace, financial independence is still decades away. And this is where most people get stuck, not because they're careless, but because they've optimized for comfort, not for freedom. Now let's look at someone who eventually reaches $1 million in net worth. From the outside, they don't always look very different. They still live in similar cities. They may even earn similar salaries. But their internal decision-making is completely different. They don't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "What does this cost me in time?" A $500 monthly car upgrade isn't just $500. It's 500 times 12 equals $6,000 per year. Invested at 7% over 20 years, that's roughly $250,000. So the real question becomes, is this car worth $250,000 of my future? And this is where everything changes. Because once you approach $1 million in net worth, the system starts working differently. At $1 million invested, a 7% return generates about $70,000 per year, without additional work, without promotions, without overtime. Now compare that to your earlier life, where every dollar required time, effort, and stress. The biggest change isn't the money, it's how decisions feel. You're no longer choosing between spending and saving. You're choosing between using your money or letting your money work. Small decisions stop feeling small because now they directly compete with your financial independence. So why don't most people never reach it? Here's the quiet reality. Most people don't fail because they earn too little. They fail because their financial behavior never changes as their income grows. They remain consistent, but in the wrong direction. Financially aware people don't live extremely restrictive lives. They still spend, they still enjoy things, but they maintain one key difference. Their lifestyle grows slower than their income. Not dramatically slower, just enough. That small gap, repeated over years, is what creates the path to $1 million. So when people say everything changes after $1 million in net worth, they're not talking about luxury. They're talking about leverage. They're talking about the moment when your money starts solving problems instead of creating new ones. Reaching $1 million isn't about extreme discipline. It's not about cutting out every small pleasure. It's about understanding one simple truth. Every financial decision is not just about today. It's about what that decision becomes over time. Once you see that clearly, your behavior changes naturally, not out of fear, but out of awareness. If this way of thinking makes sense to you, consider subscribing.